Hello everyone. You may be asking how many more Godzilla movies tier lists am I going to make? I don't know. But the other tier lists I was just messing around. Let me actually have some feelings because now I know more about them. And some exclamations. First up, we got 1954. This one I used to put in C tier because I wasn't a big fan of scary things back then, even though it wasn't actually supposed to be that scary. But in my opinion, it was pretty sad. Lost kids, Godzilla destroying stuff. The way Godzilla died was pretty interesting as well. Like, he died in the water. I think they put something in the water to kill Godzilla. I don't quite know what it's called. It's like nuclear energy. I don't know. I don't know. Let's just put this one in S tier. Just to make you all happy because I actually think it's good. Now, moving on to Godzilla King of the Monsters. Oh, my favourite Monsterverse movie. Many people have this at last, but in my opinion, it's my favourite Monsterverse movie there is. Like, I like it better than Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, King Ghidorah, not my favourite villain, but like we got lots of colourful and beautiful background. It's the most colourful Monsterverse movie there is, I think. And we got the actor Millie Bobby Brown. If she was good at acting in Stranger Things, I'm 100% sure she'll be good at acting in this. But Millie Bobby Brown deserves to act for Godzilla King of Monsters, so I'm glad she's in it. And the final fight scene was literally epic, and the mum and the dad had to find Madison Russell because she was gone. She ran away when something she just got sad about something. It was about the kaijus, I think, how she let King Ghidorah free. But however, the mum improved by the end and sacrificed herself for everyone, which was very sweet. And so this is a good movie. I'm going to put it in A tier because I don't think any Monsterverse movie is in S tier. Sorry if you made me think I was going to put in F tier for a minute to people that watch with the sound down, but no, I'm putting it in A tier. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. These are the better movies because it's from the Heisei era. Now, I must be honest, I actually like this King Ghidorah. I love how he turned into Mechagodzilla, and I also think, like, yes, I get it how people say Dorette kind of ruined him, but the Dorettes are still cute. I don't like the Dorettes either. I think the final fight was epic, the way that they kind of both lost the fight. It was a little twist. I'm going to put this one in B. I think this one's interesting. Destroy All Monsters is definitely not as good as Final was. This was one of their hardest show movies they had to make. This is one of the hardest show movies they've ever made because some of the kaijus were borrowed by other people and they were also getting quite old. It was very hard for the kaijus, and some got less screen time, mainly because, most of the kaijus were old, that some of them didn't even get much screen time. I can tell this was a very hard movie for them to make. Gorosaurus and Godzilla fighting King Ghidorah at the end of the film was amazing. And we've got Manila, killing the final King Ghidorah head, which is an improvement for Manila. I'm going to put you in B tier. I like you as well. You're a cool movie. Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla is underrated, guys. I'm going to give it A tier because I think the final fight was literally amazing. Megagodzilla is honestly underrated as well. We can all agree that little Godzilla is cute, and we can also agree that Space Godzilla is one of the most interesting villains in the whole franchise. This is a hot take. I might like Space Godzilla better than Destroyer, but yeah, I'm going to put Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla in A tier. Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. Now, this was the movie that had the little message about pollution. I honestly love this movie. It's underrated. Go in B tier. The other tier lists I made about these movies, I'm just messing about, and I hadn't even watched all of them. I was just ranking them by how I thought they were. Now I know a lot more about them. But Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, I think Ghidorah is the most interesting villain ever, and the fact that he's twice the size as Godzilla is also very funny. Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, I'm going to, it was originally called Ebra Horror the Deep, Horror of the Deep, I mean. But many people prefer to call it Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. I like that name as well. Ebra is a pretty dull villain. I wanted it to be a Kong movie because the sea monster just feels more like a Kong thing. And Mothra did not need to be in the movie, and I hate the giant condor. I figured out its name. It's like one of the worst battles to ever happen in the Godzilla franchise. It's going in C tier because I'm not a big fan of Ebra Horror of the Deep. Next up, we've got Godzilla Raids Again. This is the second movie ever made. Anguirus was the first villain ever introduced. Don't get me wrong, it's underrated. I'm still going to put it in C tier, though. The fight, it just looked like it was stop motion with toys. It kind of gave it away. You can clearly tell they're just puppets, even though you knew that for every movie. But the other movies didn't make it look like that. This one did. They made it like stop motion in the battle, and it was so speeded up, and I hated that part. The final fight was a bit disappointing, but I'll still take it. The Planet Eater is the underrated one. In the middle of Godzilla's fight with Void Ghidorah, aka King Ghidorah, what they called him, was sadly not supposed to be that great. All that the fight was King Ghidorah bites Godzilla, lifts him into the air, and then the fight is over. And for half of it, we see people talking. That explains the story very well. The final ending is emotional, and we get an unexpected ending. This was a really cool movie. In the comments, tell me if The Planet Eater is at least the best anime Godzilla Earth movie, because I'm not a big fan of any of them, really. But Planet Eater is definitely the best. Godzilla Planet of the Monsters is going to go in D tier, guys. I don't like this one. As much as the Planet Eater anyway, nowhere near. So most of it is just people talking. It explains the story well, I get it, and Godzilla just stays in one spot, which was the problem with Planet Eater as well. And they just use robots to attack Godzilla. The kaijus in this are incredibly weird. Like I said in my Godzilla Kaijus tier list, I'm not a fan of Godzilla being a rock monster or a giant monster at all. I just wish they at least made him the same size as the legendary Godzilla, because people say he's way bigger than legendary Godzilla. However, we've got one worse movie here. I like Planet of the Monsters better than City on the Edge of the Battle. What did they just do to Mechagodzilla? They ruined him. And the fact that it's just a city versus Godzilla just feels weird in my opinion. And the starting is also incredibly weird. And yet again, not a fan of Rock Godzilla. Zilla is the most underrated film ever. I never used to be a fan of it when I first watched it. I'm sorry to say you'll be annoyed, but Zilla was my first Godzilla movie. I like Godzilla as a dinosaur. His death happened on the Golden Gate Bridge. No, not the Golden Gate Bridge, silly me. Brooklyn Bridge, I think it's called. Yeah. It was a really cool finale scene. The finale scene was the best. I love the way they made baby Zillas in a building and they had to evacuate everyone. And I love how news reporters are reporting it to her. This has a great story. Tell me in the comments if the American Zilla movie is good. I love the American Zilla, and personally, I think it's underrated. It's one of the best American movies. I like it better than 2014. Godzilla's Revenge, it's underrated. I'm going to give it a D tier. I know I ranked it so high in my first tier list. Yet again, me messing around. Don't listen to that. I still want to... Maybe that... I think the last tier list I made was just a trick tier list. Because, last time I put Godzilla's Revenge in A tier. But Godzilla's Revenge, I might as well just put in D. Because it is true at the same time. About the bullying, yes, that's an amazing message. Because it's true. Bullying isn't good, and that's what the movie tried to teach us. But it didn't have to be a Godzilla movie. They could have just made it a bullying movie. How to stop bullying. And Ghidorah is the worst villain I've seen in a long while in the show era, so I can't forgive that. Godzilla 2014. I don't like how much human scenes they added. However, I might agree. The main character, who's the main character's name of the show? The one that's dad died in the middle of the Mutos attack. Yeah, that one of the boys that were the main character. I like them. They're possibly one of my favorites in the whole MonsterVerse. But more Mutos than Godzilla. Seriously, I want to see Godzilla. And the fact that we see barely any Godzilla made it very disappointing. I'm personally giving this one C tier. I don't really like Godzilla 2014. It's the worst one of the MonsterVerse, in my opinion. Oh, King Kong vs. Godzilla. It was the second Showa film I watched. Son of Godzilla was my first Showa film. King Kong vs. Godzilla was my second Showa film. It's going in A tier. Like, King Kong vs. Godzilla is literally incredible, in my opinion. And Godzilla 2000, yes, I would say it's a bit boring. But, I'm personally giving it a B tier. It had a very cool villain, and I love Godzilla's new design. Oh, and about King Kong vs. Godzilla, because I didn't explain for that one, I love the fact that King Kong actually defeated Godzilla, and the fact that lightning made him stronger. That was a good plot twist. And I love the scenes where they destroyed the cities. Heck, I even love the scene where the giant octopus appeared. Godzilla vs. Megaguirus is going to get C tier, because I'm not Megaguirus is a cool villain, but I'd say the fight is pretty cool. But yes, a bit like Godzilla 2000, it's quite boring. And Godzilla vs. Gigan, this movie is underrated. I'm going to put it in C. I know I said it's underrated, but it still needs a C tier. For two reasons. Godzilla and Anguirus' talk was unexpected and a bit confusing and weird. And, yeah, and I also find Gigan an interesting villain. That's a good thing. And the second thing I don't like about the movie, I'd say was probably just, it was a bit boring. Like Godzilla 2000 and Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. However, the monster action is just okay. Son of Godzilla is underrated. I'm going to put it in A tier. Manila is actually cute in my opinion. Cuter than the cutest baby Godzilla's had, in my opinion. I love the way he just messes around. And I don't mind Insects being the villain. Kamunga. He was a good threat for Manila. And they did better than expected for the Son of Godzilla's villain, because I bet it was hard to decide. But honestly, this movie is great in my opinion. It's underrated. Comment down below if you like Son of Godzilla. I do. I personally do anyway. Godzilla vs. Mothra in 1992. I'm going to give that a C tier. I'm not a big Batra fan, which is a hot take. And I guess the final fight was pretty cool though, but it's probably the worst Heisei film. Oh, Godzilla Tokyo SOS was the movie that used to be my favourite. My favourite Godzilla movie. I love the way that Godzilla almost killed Kiryu. Well, not killed, because Mechagodzilla's a robot, so he can't really die. But the humans could have inside him. But I love the way Mothra just spoils his fun. The final fight has the best in the show. It's not my favourite final fight in the Godzilla series. It's one of my favourites though. Godzilla Tokyo SOS final fight is in my top 5. The final fight is literally incredible in my opinion. So I'm going to give Godzilla Tokyo SOS an A tier. Oh no, not C tier, silly me. A tier you go, son. Oh, whoops. I put you in B tier. Godzilla vs. Megalon is going to go in C tier. I love Hero Godzilla. Jet Jaguar is not very good. I like how Gigander's back. And Megalon is a fairly interesting villain. They save Godzilla till the end, and Jet Jaguar is the star of the movie. The final fight is pretty cool and funny. I'd say it's more of a comedy than a scary final fight. Shin Godzilla, the scariest Godzilla of the franchise in my opinion. Many people don't like his design. I honestly do. I'm going to put Shin Godzilla in S. Joining with 1954. I love how Shin Godzilla can form. And I love his moves. And I just love the way how he dies. He turns to stone. That was very interesting. And watching the human scenes are actually quite likeable compared to others. Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. I like this one. I like it, not as much as Tokyo SOS. But yeah, again, we have people ruining Godzilla's fun by almost killing Mechagodzilla again. You also go in A tier. I love both these movies. They technically have the same reasoning, so let's move on. Godzilla Final was straight up putting an S tier. As soon as I watched this, I was so hyped. I loved the way how they actually had a war. Like, it's called Godzilla Final War, so that's obvious. But the characters are brilliant. Like, the character scenes are enjoyable to watch because there was one big scene where the kaiju scenes didn't happen till Gigan appeared, and it was honestly enjoyable because the characters were so good. Also, this film was actually quite scary compared to others. Note to children that might be watching this, you might not want to hear this part I'm going to mention in Godzilla Final Wars, but it was honestly quite gory because they had lots of fights. And yeah, I honestly didn't mind Monster X turning into Kaiser Ghidorah in the end of the film, and I love how Godzilla had a 4-way fight. All the kaiju scenes are enjoyable. I'm honestly glad they brought Zilla back. That was a cool appearance. Invasion of Astra Monster I wasn't a big fan of. Let me put it in B tier because it's still good. Invasion of Astra Monster I found it not as enjoyable, mainly because I thought Invasion of Astra Monster didn't have enough monster screen time. Half of it was just about the alien humans from space, which I hated because I don't actually like most of the humans in this movie. The humans in this film aren't actually good at all, in my opinion. And the acting's not good either. And it's the first film to include stock footage, if I'm right, and stock footage is a bit confusing. The only two scenes that had kaijus were like the fight scene with King Ghidorah in space and the final fight scene overall. Literally just 2 fight scenes. It's disappointing. Now that I've said that, I'm moving it to C tier. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 is going in S tier. It's Godzilla vs. Destroyer is my favourite Heisei film. It used to be Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, but now it's Godzilla vs. Destroyer again. The final fight is just epic. And Baby Godzilla is actually cute. Okay, so how much more have we got left? Not much. Terror of Mechagodzilla Titanosaurus didn't need to be in it. However, the final fight was quite impressive for a Showa film. I'm going to give this one an A tier. I can say it's fairly underrated to some people, but I respect your opinion if you don't actually like this movie. But it's actually really cool. And next up I got The Return of Godzilla, which I'm going to put in S tier as well. I like The Return of Godzilla because of Godzilla's appearance after 9 years, and it's the beginning of the Heisei era, and I don't have complaint for any Heisei film, really. It's honestly an amazing film. The way that Godzilla fell in the volcano was literally incredible. And the story is actually quite similar to Godzilla 1954, which might sound weird, but still. Godzilla vs. Biollante, another one of the brilliant Godzilla films that needs to go in B tier. I love Biollante as the villain, one of my favourite villains of the whole thing, probably in my top 5. The final fight scene is my favourite out of every movie. Actually, no, my second favourite, because I like Godzilla vs. Destroyer's final fight more. That's my favourite fight. I hope you understand that, because that's reasonable. Godzilla vs. Kong, the newest movie, not S tier. I already said I didn't put any MonsterVerse films in S tier. I'm going to give Godzilla vs. Kong a B tier, only because I found Godzilla vs. Biollante more interesting than Godzilla vs. Kong. However, Godzilla vs. Kong is the enemies are brilliant, and the final fight just makes everything even better. Like, the characters in this are so enjoyable. I love Bernie. I love Millie Bobby Brown. I love the girl that was Kong's friend that spoke sign language with him. I want to learn sign language one day as well. And we've got Mothra versus Godzilla. I'm going to put this one in I'm going to put it in S tier, why not? I love the way that Godzilla was actually unstoppable, this movie, and they had to use Mothra, and the way Mothra would just grab his tail and dragging him around everywhere. And, yeah. When I first watched this, the movie screen was actually really blurry, which was very weird, because King Kong vs. Godzilla is older than Mothra vs. Godzilla, and it wasn't blurry at all. And, when Mothra died, the Mothra larvas hatched and eventually caught Godzilla, and he fell into the lake. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla goes in S tier. Anguirus and Godzilla's fight was cool. It's my favourite Showa era final fight, so it gets extra points for that. I love the way stuff like magnets were actually attaching to Godzilla, and the characters are pretty cool. Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster's going in A tier. My second favourite fight from the Showa era. King Ghidorah was amazing. Was an amazing, what's it called again? Was an amazing appearance for the movies. And we got the Mothra, Lava Godzilla, and Rodent teaming on it. Like, it was epic. JMK. Without a doubt, it has to go in S tier. Now, I get it. King Ghidorah was actually kind of good, this movie. I don't really know, but the final fight scene between Mothra, Godzilla, and King Ghidorah. Tokyo SOS movie actually ripped off JMK's Mothra's death. I don't think it was a rip-off, actually, because it was made by the same company, obviously, but it was so similar. Godzilla turns around and kills Mothra with the atomic breath. Both Tokyo SOS and JMK had that. And I just love the characters in JMK. They're literally so enjoyable. I could watch it all day. And I love the design of Godzilla. He looks like he's possessed by Herobrine. Baragon is literally so cute. And I love the scene he has to fight with Godzilla. And the way Godzilla atomic breaths at him. And he dies. And we got Mothra coming out of the egg. Mothra's design in this movie looked gorgeous. And eventually Godzilla's atomic breath came out from his back. Because one of the humans, it may have been a sacrifice, I don't quite remember. But they went inside Godzilla. And warning to children again that watch this, you might not want to hear this part. I think he drilled through Godzilla's body, causing the atomic breath to come out from there. And last but not least, Godzilla vs. Destroyer. We get to end off with an S tier. We start off with S tier and end with S tier. Like, without a doubt, Godzilla has the best design in this movie. And the villain was threatening, scary. The baby destroyers are cool. I love the scene where we're in the building. And baby destroyers are literally everywhere and they have to hide. And baby Godzilla's death scene is sad. This is honestly quite a sad movie. But thank you for watching my ranking. This was quite long. So I'm going to end it now because in case something bad happens.